I'm glad you said it is not, we should not hold our counterpart, a female counterpart, accountable for our problems. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
We have our collective insecurities. We are intimidated at times by the success that they enjoy that we may not have. If you look at the statistics, black females collectively have done better than us, and that tend to be intimidating at times to us. Maybe you might be a better speaker, then you might be smarter, you accomplish more academically, you might accomplish more financially. That can lead to a sense of insecurity.
All right, all right, all right. I'm so excited to be back. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. If you're watching, whenever you're watching this, please share with your friends and your family. Today, we're going to have a really wonderful conversation. We're going to talk about men and mental health. And I'm so excited to have Dr. JC back. And we have GV, who's always behind the scene, actually. This is a prime moment right now. We have GV in front of the camera, sitting with us. Hi, GV, how are you feeling?
Doing well, doing well. Pleasure to be here again. Thanks for having me, and obviously being part of the production for this podcast. I very supportive of the work that you guys are doing, and also jumping on a panel with my brother Dr. JC. We haven't done this in a while, so this is pretty fun.
Yes. And this is Patricia, and I am here with Obel. So I'll let GV introduce himself, and then we'll go to Dr. JC, because GV has a thing where he doesn't tell you what he does, but I want you to tell the people who don't know what you do.
I think we should introduce the doctor first, but that's just me.
All right.
You can't do that.
Come on, doc.
You can do that. You sound like Congress now. You pass the book.
Oh my God.
I'm just excited we got to have both
Shoot.
brilliant minds here. I'm just excited to just have that right now.
Well, I'm gonna reclaim my time. I don't know. I mean, this is me. I mean, you guys that know me or don't know me, I'm dental hygienist out of the state of Texas. I do a little bit of production on the videography and music side of things, and I enjoy all things technology, and I enjoy all things that is thought provoking as well, and it's why I'm here talking with the experts, because I am not one. So but I just enjoy really good conversation. So that's me, that's it really.
Thank you. And also, GV is producing our this podcast right now.
Yes.
Just a little thing to add. We've had Dr. JC with on this before. If you haven't listened to this, you need to go and listen to that episode. I'm going to let Dr. JC introduce himself for people who are watching us or for the first time. Please, Dr. JC, tell us about your amazing work.
Thank you, ladies and GV. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be here to share the platform with you guys. I really think that GV is short selling himself. He does not do a little. He doesn't do a little bit of production. He's the LeBron. He's the LeBron James of production.
Come on, dog. That's a little too much now.
I love that.
Nah, that's way too much pressure.
No, seriously.
I'm a 6 man.
I think he is the LeBron James of production. For those who don't know me, I'm Dr. JC Belizaire. I'm a board certified psychotherapist in the state of Florida and Nevada. I'm also a certified addiction professional in the state of Florida. I've been practicing for the past 12 years. I never remember. Every time I have to count back, I kind of realize how old I am. So I kind of lost track of the years. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to a great conversation.
Yes, yes, I am excited.
I'm so excited. I feel like this is gonna be one of our best episodes. I don't know why. No, let me not say that.
Because
But
your husband is here.
yeah, I guess I'm a little biased. But I think this is gonna be so important for like just men who are in general watching
Yes.
this, because I think, when we think about mental wellness, it's like in all aspect, but men specifically suffer silently, and they're not really seeing examples of other men talking about it. Now I think we're doing a little better, but now I feel like it's the time, for to see like young Haitian professional
Yes.
just talking about mental health and the impact it has on us, and the things that we need to dissect in our community to be better and mentally fit, like my husband likes to call it. Jiffy
Yes.
just always says that. But tell us now, my before we start this conversation, we have a little icebreaker Patricia's gonna ask, and we can talk about what mental wellness means to each of you.
Yeah. So, what is the most memorable moment in your life, if you can remember? You guys can take like a 1 or 2 minutes and share that with us.
Wow, that's most memorable. I have so many. Jeez. I mean, I could tell you like the biggest. More I remember passing my board exam, becoming a registered agent. That was a big moment. Getting married was a big moment. I remember several shows that I've produced. Those have been really big moment, and I remember listening to my first song on the radio was also a big moment. It's so many of them. It's just that it's yeah. I mean, it's so many that I can think of. For me, what makes this a difficult question to answer and really pinpoint one question, I tell my wife all the time, I don't dwell on big moments or low moments. To me, they are stop points to a journey. And so you can have the worst day possible. It's gonna be a day tomorrow. And so I don't dwell on that. And I can have the biggest day tomorrow. I don't dwell on that either, because there's still a next day to live. So I'm always looking forward to, okay, what's to come next. I celebrate the moment, or I
Right,
take
right.
it for what it is, but understand that I can keep that forever. So no matter how big the moment is right now, I can't keep that forever. For instance, like the day of my wedding, I can be as happy as possible. Tomorrow won't be the day of my wedding. It will be the day after my wedding, right? I can get the big promotion today, but the day after is not gonna be my big promotion. It's gonna be the day after. And so I'm always looking forward to what's to come and how do I adjust and adapt to that.
So, lifetime of memorable moments.
Yeah, because you're gonna have those ups and downs, and they just checkpoints. But you still gotta move on to the next one and the next one and the one after that. So no matter how low or high they are, beautiful thing is they won't last. So
I feel like that's how geniuses think.
Dr. JC.
Maybe
JC.
I suspect you are married to a genius.
I know.
I was sitting here listening to him. I agree with him 100%. I don't have big moments. I have a lot of small moments that accumulate to be a big deal. The most recent one I remember, I dropped my son to school yesterday, and I sat there in the car, watched him walk in, and I cherished the privilege of being able to do that. When I picked my son up, and we were looking at the kids, we have those crazy conversations. We were looking at the kids coming out of school, and I said, "You realize in the Gaza Strip, the kids cannot do that." That was a big moment for me. And we talked about Palestine and Gaza and this whole thing. So many. I do not look forward to the big meal, the big restaurant, but I enjoy the small moments at the little restaurant, and all of them accumulate to give me a big deal. If you look at finance, for instance, it's not the big expenses that normally drag you down. It's the little 299 here, 199 here. You ask yourself, where did my money go? When you do the math, you realize it's a bunch of smaller items that accumulate to give you a big bill. So for me, life is good.
Oh my God, I love this. You know what? Let's just go right into that because, and the reason that I know we chose this question in random, but I love it because men don't always express those type of things, like out in the open, we're just talking. Like I can sit with Obel, we're always talking about, oh my God, this happened, this is so beautiful and things. So how do you guys process things that are beautiful to you? When you're not somebody who just like to, you're not extrovert, like, you're not somebody who just like to talk to everybody. But what do you do when when you're not expressing those emotions? So how does that happen for you?
My expression is in really in my observation. I sit a lot with my own thought and understanding them for what they are, and really trying to understand why I feel that way and how that a certain situation impacts me moving forward, and why other people act or react a certain way. So to me, ex- expressing something outwardly is not the only way. So in observing something, I do think that I can express it. And I mean, there's so many other ways to to express what you see. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be loud or chaotic. A simple conversation here and there, or really understanding the grand scheme of things. So, and that's probably one of the biggest misconception about introverted people, because I think they are the most expressive. Now, obviously, I'm not an expert, and that can, I stand corrected on, on what Dr. JC has to say about that. But no, we are really deep thinkers. It's just that we observe a lot and really try to understand what it is that, we are looking at or experiencing. And then when the time is right, express, what we take from that experience.
I want to hear from Dr. JC from his personal perspective and also the general address the misconception. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, let's do the general first.
Yeah.
Expression is not necessarily doesn't necessarily have to be verbal all the time. I can love you, and for me, I have to do things for you to show you to express my love for you, and you understand the different language of love. I can be frustrated with you, but I'm not saying anything until I'm looking forward to doing something to show you that I'm frustrated. For instance, I might, for me personally, I might have a company. Let's say that I have a phone company, always jacking up my bill. Um, what we talked about, this is not what you bill in me. I may not call you all the time, but the minute that I call you, when I'm tired of it, I'm going to call you, say, I want to disconnect the service. So there are times that the actions are the best method for men to express their feelings as opposed to verbal. Now, personally, what I do, I create a circle of folks that I can have constructive conversations with. Like I was just referring to I have 3 kids. We have different conversations at different level. I have folks that I feel comfortable. Every single one of us as human beings, we need to find someone with whom we feel vulnerable to. So that for some folks that might be a spouse, for other that might be a parent, or it could be multiple individuals. So the most important thing is that we create a system where we feel that the individuals that are around us, they are supportive, and we can express uh, our opinions to this individual. At the same time, we must have the emotional discipline to understand not everything must be said. So there's that different level as well.
I love that. I love having to consider the different level, and also that helps women in those men's life to understand that, like GV mentioned, you're not always expressing things outward. I mean, you're not always expressing them loudly for somebody to know. But also what Dr. JC mentioned about how you can process things and have a circle. You have an intimate circle to process these things. So I want to talk about Black men and mental health and what's happening in America, in our society right now, with the stigma around how we see black men and how the presence alone can people can already judge and say that, you know, this man is aggressive or talk too loud, or if a man is looking a certain way, then they put him in a category. And I remember having a conversation with my husband about how he feels pressured because of everything that's going on in America. So he always feels like whenever he step outside of his house, like he doesn't feel like the world is safe. So when he comes home, he wants peace.
Yeah, let's
Talk about that. I want to talk about that. Like when you guys mention how when you come home you want peace, but also relationship, it's about processing things. And I know there's a lot going on in the world.
Yeah.
So how are you navigating those, what's going on in the world, and what are you expecting from the person who's in a relationship with you to help you process that things? And what is peace
To you.
to you?
Number one, I got to tell you, I live in my own world. This is a biblical concept as well. I cannot afford to be going out here living in fear. If I'm going to die, the fear is not going to prevent me from dying.
Right.
So what I do not live in any type of fear. I do not subscribe myself to the pressure or whatever that the world might be referring to. As far as my idea of peace, it goes back to the idea of relationship. Number one, you have to the Bible, and I will continue. I use the Bible as a philosophical book at times. I think there's a lot of principles. The Bible says, if possible, seek peace with all men. Well, the very first person I must seek peace with is myself. So the question becomes, do I have peace with myself? And the way I do that is to make sure that I don't mess with the law. There's no way you're going to be at peace if you're trying to rob banks all the time. There's no way you're going to be at peace if you know you got a girl here and you're begging two other girls on the side.
Yep.
And you know she doesn't want you to do it. There's no way you're gonna have peace if you have a if you only make $2,000 a month and you have a mortgage that costs $2,500 a month. So first, I must have a responsible approach to the interactions that I have with the world. The financial interactions have financial discipline. I must have interactions where I don't go back and forth breaking the law. I must have different interactions. That's what's gonna create the environment for peace, because things happen within the environment. A tree grows because of the environment that it is placed on. So for me to have a peaceful lifestyle, I must create an environment that is conducive to that peaceful lifestyle. The problem that we have folks creating an environment for war, yet they want peace. Well, it's inconsistent. So to answer your question, I create the environment for my own peace. Let's say that I create an environment for peace and I go out there and get killed. Well, all things work well for those who love the Lord. Today, I was talking to my sons about that philosophy. What happened? What happened when you play hard and you lose the game toward the last second? What happened when you pray for a boy, you still get a girl? What happened? You have to live with life. So we cannot live life in a mindset of anxiety or fear. Your fear of dying is going to prevent you from enjoying life. Therefore, I make peace with death itself. That way I get to enjoy life.
Oh my God, that's a really great philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. To piggyback on what Doc was saying, I'm very big on living in the present, because a lot of where triggers for anxiety and depression is from trying to predict the future or reliving the past.
Right.
And so really your anxiety is being triggered from trying to prepare yourself for something that hasn't happened, but you still mentally having a reaction to what that could be. And so trying to live in the moment and really understand things for what they are really is a good place to be at. And takes away, a lot of, the anxiety and the nerves, and the pressure that can come, with living life, understanding that the only thing I can control is what I do and how I treat people. The rest of it is not guaranteed, and the rest of it I don't really have control over it. Now, when it comes to, creating peace, to me, it's really understanding what your mental capacity is. And so, meaning if I'm dealing with a lot of at work, I gotta take the time to process that, so that you can put yourself in a place where it's almost like you're on autopilot mode. So you're not using any processing power. When you in that moment, then you can truly enjoy, life. Otherwise, you'll be, talking with your kids or watching a show, but in the back of your head, you're still thinking about, a certain situation, because you're still processing it. But taking the time to actually processing, what it is that's going on with you, then you're able to come to a resolution with yourself, and you're able to move past that, right? Situation is still there, but you are able to reach a point mentally where, okay, I can move on and not be thinking about this 24/7. That's why, like, sometimes like I'll drive home, and I get home and I sit in the car, no music, no nothing, for like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it takes. And sometimes I ask my wife, I'm like, just give me a second. I'm not talking, I'm not doing anything, but I'm just taking that moment of, a quietness with myself, to be able to hear my own thoughts, and be able to process them, so that when I step into the house, I don't have a reaction on her that I actually wanted to have on my coworker. Now she asked me how was my day, but I'm responding to her, but really responding to the person that got me mad, a couple hours ago, right? So, or I'm responding to her, but really taking out the frustration from the bill collector, or the man that just, almost hit my car. And so being in the moment also requires that you try to process what goes through your day. Not always gonna come to like a hardcore resolution. Okay, this is fixed and I can move on. But truly, really answering yourself, okay, this happened. How do I feel about it? Why do I feel this way about it?
Wow.
Once you can figure that out, then, hey, I'm angry, but I know why I'm angry. Then
Of course.
you remove that burden from yourself, because a lot of, our reaction, in life is really, I'm carrying something on my shoulder, and it's like, it has nothing to do with me at all, but you're not processing it that way. And so asking yourself, what happened? Why do I feel this way about it? Just going there, you don't have to come to a resolution, because sometimes it's not even for you to resolve, but you are still carrying the weight of, of said situation. And so that's, to me, that's how I try to handle, the subject of, getting to a point where I can truly say that I'm at peace.
That is beautiful.
What you said, my brother, is just beautiful.
Thank you.
You said, there's something that you said, I don't know if you cut the word. You said creating peace.
Yeah.
The world keep on saying we're looking for peace.
Yeah.
No, you
Yeah.
can't look for something that is special.
Yeah.
If you're looking for something that everybody is looking for, somebody else gonna get it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Question become creating. That's what you said.
Yeah.
So I've always tell folks, peace and happiness is like a Walgreens. Wherever you stay, there's one right around the corner. Now, you can be stuck on the one that you used to go to, then you will never be able to get to that one. Or do you want to readjust to the one that's right around the corner? The thing that you must understand, I think, based on what you're saying, my brother, is that there are two things that we suffer from. That's what I get from what Brother Jiva was saying.
Yes, sir.
The two greatest faculties that we have as human beings, we suffer from those. Our imagination, which is the future, and our memory, which is the past.
Yep.
If you don't remember what somebody said to you yesterday, you wouldn't be suffering from what was said to you.
Yeah.
You imagining, what is my child, what college is this child gonna go to? You imagine, you start making movies in your mind and producing all those nightmares. The difference between you and I, or a person who have yet to create peace, they create nightmares, because we all in the movie making business. I create happy movies. You just happen to create nightmares in your mind, and then you are a product of your nightmare, and I happen to enjoy the happy movies that I create. So we all in the producing business.
Doc, I'm smiling right now
We
because
all in
it's
the
two
producing
things.
business.
It's two things you just said right there. Because I've always called myself a cinema room. No,
Yes.
like I've always called my mind. Like I'm like, man, I can
right.
create so much because I can visualize stuff in my brain, right? And so
Exactly.
the
That's
fact
why I
that
don't go to movies. I don't go to
Oh
movies.
my God, you make your own
No, I
movie.
don't, because there's not one that I cannot create. I could be, let me tell
yeah,
you, I can play a game 7 here, NBA Finals,
yep.
and take the last shot. Kobe Bryant, if I want to be, enjoy the heck out of it.
Yes, because you literally have that same physical experience and that same remembrance. Now, the bad side of that, Doc, is that it's too many of us that are suffering from trauma that we've never lived through.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Oh
why I
my
was gonna go
goodness.
next.
It's
I know
because
that.
really
say that
all the things that you anticipate could happen, your brain still register them as,
happened.
hey, this happened to me. And so I'm out here suffering from getting in a car crash with 10 people or whatever, but I
Right.
never actually experienced that. But in my brain, I carry that fear because I've
Well,
lived through
but
that
here's the thing, my
experience.
brother. Now, here's the thing now. You have to have the emotional discipline
Right.
and
Yes.
ask
There you go.
yourself the emotional discipline and ask yourself the simple question. Those thoughts are you producing that the thoughts that you are producing, are they conducive to your emotional well-being, or are they destructive?
Right.
Yeah.
That's everything you do.
Right.
Even in finance, if you're doing something that is not constructive to your financial life, I'm assuming that you're going to stop it. And then the minute that you said it's not, then you need to not allow yourself to go there.
Right.
Because the mind is almost like a maze when it comes to thought process. You get into a maze, sometimes it's hard to find your way out of it.
Yes,
So
sir.
the question becomes, do you have the discipline, the emotional discipline, to be able to identify the entrance of that maze and do not allow yourself to get in that maze? And then as you continue to train yourself, your mind is automatically going to say, that maze, not going to go there. Bang. Because that's what we do as the human mind.
My
Well,
goodness, my mind has
I
been.
want to ask Dr. JC a question while we are on this because
Okay.
not everybody are self-aware.
There you go. I
Like,
was about to ask that.
brilliant mind here.
Yeah.
Because and there are a lot of men that are suffering from the responsibility of life. Just
There you go.
responsibility of life. Providing for your family, protecting your
Your
children. Like, I think men feel those things more personally.
Yeah.
So, what would you recommend for men who are just succumbing to the pressure?
And also, I want to add to that question: men who are afraid to talk about those pressures,
right,
Because you guys seem so comfortable about talking it. Like I'm looking at GV, it's like you already did therapy on yourself. You analyze yourself so much. You ask the right questions.
Right,
you sit in
right.
the car, and you're self-aware to know, okay, I'm not going to get out until my mind is
process
clear,
this.
until I process this. But there are men that are told just move on, just move on with
Yeah.
life, take on the responsibility,
Do your
just
job,
do
be a
your
man.
job, be a man. You don't have no time to literally sit down in your thoughts because you have so many other things you have to do. What do you tell those men who feels like, I have to be a man so I can process my emotions and act
Well-
after?
Well, I thank you for bringing that question up. I really think that we need therapy. When I say we, I'm speaking as a collective, the collective self. We need therapy, but therapy for the black man cannot be traditional therapy as understood within the European paradigm. The therapy for the black man has to be one that understand the complexity of the daily things that we deal with and be able to address it in our language. And I said language meaning that in terms that we really feel comfortable doing it.
Right.
We need to be re-educated. Remember G. Carter Woodson, he talked about the miseducation of the Negroes. So the black man needs to be re-educated in what manhood is. Manhood is not my ability to bang as many girls as possible. Manhood is not the inability to show no emotions. Manhood does not define by how physically tough I can be. So that must have a system of re-education So in therapy, I know, Patricia, you know this more than I do, that it's a psychoeducational process
Right.
that we need to re-educate onto what manhood is and provide that arena for them to understand, yes, you need to, it's okay to seek help because we were raised to believe that you are the term that is used in the black community, you're a pussy. If you
Oh.
if you show any emotions
Right,
or if you
right,
cry
right.
or if you tell someone your business, so we need to redefine that. So if you want to use cognitive behavioral therapy, we need to deconstruct the faulty ways of thinking and then reconstruct healthy behaviors and healthy psychology within the African tribe. That's the, if you, not to get too clinical, but that's the way to approach this.
If I would really, the way I would go at this is really how I get a lot of my patients to start flossing. Yeah, most people struggle with the habit of flossing, and building that habit sometimes is not the easiest thing to do. And the way I've had really a lot of success with that in my career so far is really tying it with something that they are comfortable with. And so a lot of the messaging around mental health is really seek help. But again, we're talking to men that won't even go to the doctor to get themselves checked physically.
There you go.
So how do you think they're gonna now take on that message and get checked mentally? Like that is not gonna begin to happen.
But you got to understand something as well, my brother. Who does the black man talk to?
True
The
that.
black man collectively, that is. We're not talking about individual levels here.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
right.
The black man does not trust the white man.
Right.
The black females, sometimes we're not the most supportive. They are not the most supportive. And remember, the black man is supposed to be the protector of the black
Right.
female.
Right. Right.
And as a man, you know what it means for the protected to feel, for the protector to feel weak or weakened in front of the protected. So that kind of closed that door. We're not going to talk to the white female because, number one, she's white, she's a female, she does not understand our struggle. So now, and then we were told not to speak to anyone. So now we build all that. We keep it with us.
Absolutely.
That's a
Okay.
lot of pressure.
And then
one.
I resent you as the black female. Not only you doing better than I am collectively, that is, but also sometimes you said you don't need me.
Ooh, let's
Okay.
speak
So
about
how
that.
can I come to you to feel vulnerable when I know the same ammunition that I give you today will be used to kill me? So you must understand the collective dilemma of the Negro.
Yeah.
I agree with you that we don't so much have a safe space, but if we can change a little bit of the messaging and making that, hey, by tapping into this, there's a lot of reward from that. It's we can almost maybe get away from all some of the roadblocks that we have, and get to a point where at least most of the men out there are seeking help, or really seeking a way to understanding how that part of the body is functioning, and getting a hold of that and taking care of it as
Oh my
well.
God, I love this so much. So now I mentioned something, Dr. JC and GV. I have this question, and it's a very heavy question. But I know it's like it's simple, but
At least it's not deep.
For those of you who don't know,
watch.
comment. You have to go
Inside
watch his
joke.
episode. Go watch his
It's an
episode. to
inside
understand.
joke.
Inside
It's an
joke.
So now, okay. I love that you guys talk about how the black woman and the black man, because we are the protected, you are the protector, and sometimes we don't make it easy for the protector to feel vulnerable and open up and talk about the pressure they can't talk about anywhere else. So now, as black women, how do we create that safe space?
There you go. That was going to be my next question.
For our black men. And when I say for a black man, not just the husband, but we also have sons, you have cousins, you have other people in the community who, like, you're my sister, because I have 3 brothers, and when they're around, they don't even consider that I'm older than them, like, because I'm I'm the only daughter, so I'm not oldest in front of them, you know? So they automatically naturally feel like the protector. So now as a black woman, how do I make that safe space? To know, like, if you broke down somewhere, like, you can come to me.
Yeah, we can act both intimately
Yes.
and just, friendship
In
or
general,
So
family.
the way I would take that is really going back to what I said earlier is having that conversation with yourself. Self-awareness is really one of the key component to all of this, because it's almost like really just a rinse and repeat when you've seen what's going on, because it's it's not fair to just like put this all on hey, black women aren't supportive. Because as a man, I'm also responsible for my own mental health and fitness. But and also we have to really take into account that some of these women are really reacting to how they were treated by other men, that were treated a certain way by other women, that were treated by other men and other women. You see what I'm saying? Like, it goes back and forth. The only way it stops is if I'm like, you know what, I was wrong, but I'm gonna have to take a look into this, and being self-aware enough to resolve my issues, then I can go into the world and be fair in how I treat everybody else. Because otherwise, if I was wronged by a black woman, then I'm not fair to you guys. Then because I'm not fair to you guys turn around and be not fair to the next black man. And that cycle just continues and continues. And we're just having our communities just getting destroyed over and over by that vicious cycle. We have like that, the gender war that we have out
That's what
there.
I was gonna
We gotta stop it. And each side have really like, okay, whoever fault it is, it doesn't matter at this point. My goal now is to be a whole person. My goal now is to be whole mentally.
Yeah.
Once you seek that, and everybody else can seek that, then we can come back to the table and be fair to each other.
In other words, you're really just saying take accountability.
Yes.
People are afraid to take accountability for their own actions, their own mental health. So you're saying, like, as an individual man, you need to be able to take accountability for yourself.
But it goes beyond accountability as well, because some people are true victim. And they do have a reason why.
True.
So
That's true.
coming to a resolution with your own hurt is also essential in that. You see what I'm saying? Because we can't just say like, oh, you're not accountable for what you are doing. But hey, what about the true victims out there, right? And so really acknowledging your own hurt and your own downfall as well, and taking all of that together, and can get into a point where you can move past all of that, then you can be in a place that is healthy. And so
I love that.
again, which is what you guys are talking about here, wellness.
Yeah.
And so once you can reach a point of wellness, then you are pretty much at a place where you can be fair to other people, and you can create a safe space for a black man or black women to be able to have that conversation, and not so looking at it from the loops of your past hurt and experiences.
I love that.
I'm glad you said it is not, we should not hold our counterpart, a female counterpart, accountable for our problems. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
We have our collective insecurities. We are intimidated at times by the success that they enjoy that we may not have. If you look at the statistics, black females collectively have done better than us, and that tend to be intimidating at times to us. Maybe you might be a better speaker, then you might be smarter, you accomplish more academically, you might accomplish more financially. That can lead to a sense of insecurity. Now, I'm supposed to be the protector of this individual. The protector could be psychological as well. So I agree with you that we need to come to terms with our own collective insecurities, and then decide what we want to do with it. We must defiantly refuse to be victims after we were victimized. All of us were victimized in some areas. There's no question. Okay, the question becomes, are you going to continue to be a victim after you are victimized? There's something that I want you guys to continue to remember as well. If you, my first book, I talked about cutting the shackles of mental occupation, where we need to break the cycle of psychological slavery. There's something that collectively black men feel that they are pressed against a system. They always refer to the system, that a system that does not want me to be, or a system that does not want me to have a house. There's a system that is there against me, working against me. We must find a way to get rid of that way of thinking. If you walking in thinking that the system is already rigged against you, you are not gonna do anything to do what you have to do. We must look at the system as my system. I am learning the rules of this game so I can play this game,
There
as
you
opposed
go.
to saying that I'm not playing because the game is not mine.
There
So
you go.
us, we must to change that way of thinking, and that's what I mean when I say therapy for the black man cannot be the traditional therapy. Tell me how I make you feel with my glasses over my nose. That therapy does not work for the black man. So we must attack it at the level where, you know, if you live in this neighborhood belongs to you. It's not their neighborhood that let you stay in. It's my neighborhood.
I love that.
If you So you must understand that the place that you stay, you're not passing by. This is yours. I'm here to stay. I always tell Americans, if you don't like a Haitian immigrant like me, you may as well sell me your house because I'm here to stay. I'm not going anywhere. So
I
sell me
love
the
that.
house, move the hell out of the community so I can stay here, and then we'll be good.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen to
Yeah.
that. Amen. I'm
Yeah.
like, can we talk about how you define manhood as a black man? Because that's always like a big question. And also that comes with like, are you laughing?
You ask complicated questions that cannot be answered in a lifetime.
Well, let's try to keep it concise. Because I think, and that's coming from a female perspective, I don't think manhood is providing, just providing. But there is a pressure where like you're not a man if you're not doing this,
Yeah.
right? You're not a man if your woman is out there doing this, right? So can we define like a healthy? That's the question. A healthy manhood.
Yeah.
Doc, I don't have an answer, but I'm gonna give you a piece. I guess I'm asking you a question of where my mind is going right now, and you can kind of direct me. Because when I hear manhood, or when I compare manhood and womanhood, I think of the word instinct. So really, your womanhood is your born instinct, the things that comes naturally to you that you act and react on. And to me, your manhood is not your doing; it's the thing that naturally, I guess, captivate your mind. And so there's different way of approaching. So what I'm getting at is that a man and a woman looking at a situation, we act and react to it differently. Because as a man, you everything is simple and straightforward. As a woman, you guys see the details and the variations of all of that. And to me, that's what makes you a woman, how you and take that information and process it. And could manhood also be that no my
Well,
all natural instinct as men on
abilities.
how we see things and how we react to things.
well, we're gonna go back to Africa.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
The African American culture, they don't really. I don't think they have necessarily a rite of passage. Every nation, a lot of African nation have what you call a rite of passage. You go back, you realize is the ability to hunt, is the ability to take care of the community, to have wisdom, certain level of wisdom, certain level of discipline and values. That's what the Africans understand. That's how the Africans understand it. Let's look at a natural process. Instead of thinking of manhood and womanhood, let's talk about masculine and feminine. If you look at if you look at nature, you are if you look at nature, it's complementary. The idea is one side complement the other.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the this complementary. When you even in electronic, even in plumbing, when you connecting those pipes, the two pipes one have to complement the other one.
Yeah.
So if you have one masculine and if you have two masculines, it does not let the water flow because it cannot go in and out. So the idea of manhood and masculine, of being masculine or being feminine, is two forces that come together and complement one another. Now, that does not mean that if I am masculine, I cannot have some feminine qualities,
There you
Right.
go.
or vice versa. But the idea is that men, in my book, what I wrote about is that there are certain things men must have. Men must have discipline. That's what separates a man from a boy.
Right.
Men must be able to protect. That protection could be psychologically, spiritually, in all the areas that you can call. So these are the characteristics of a man, that the idea to be responsible, the idea to be able to have discipline. And the sole notion that I am the man, that means I must do this. Being a man simply means that there are times that I need to lead, there are times I need to call on someone to lead. And if that means the feminine side has some characteristics that I don't have, I need to call on her to lead that specific area. It's my manhood that is activated to be able to call on that specification. So, what the problem that we are running into is that we are living in a world that is very contradictory. It's either or.
Yeah.
But we need to start looking at it as complementary,
Yeah.
Yeah.
meaning that the fact that you are not a Christian, you're a Muslim, you complement me as a human being.
Right. Right.
Wow,
Oh
that
my
is-
The
God.
fact that you have a vagina, well, I'm assuming that I don't know. The fact that someone has a vagina, it's 2023, you know
It
that.
is.
I gotta try to keep you in line, doc. You know that.
You know,
You
so
never know.
it is not a contradiction to my penis. It just complements the fact that I have a penis. So once we start looking at it that way, we will see everything in harmony. Instead, which is music, things have to be in harmony for it to make sense in your ears. If not, it's a cacophony.
Yes,
It does
sir.
not make any sense. So maybe, just maybe, we need to redefine what it means to be a man. And part of that, there's no way that being a man, I just sit here and allow you to do things, because the idea of manhood is the idea to do, to have discipline. I have to be able to wait. I have to be able to know that I have a spiritual self. Because here's the reason why spirituality is an important of manhood. There are times that your money, your influence cannot do much, yet you want to save the one that you're supposed to save. In other words, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and my little girl here is dying. I call my buddy who's a PCP. I cannot find him. And I go to the pharmacy, everything is closed. I need to be able to call upon somebody that can help me, provide the assistance to this little one. That's the reason why spirituality in Africa is a big component of manhood.
Wow.
That's
That's beautiful.
So the problem with the idea of manhood here in America, we are conditioned to have a physical six pack. That's what it is.
My God.
Physical six pack. Manhood has to be strong, but men must have knowledge. So the idea is that we need to have a psychological six pack instead of a physical six pack because I can win more wars with my knowledge than I can win with my physical self. That way,
Amen.
when I'm confronted by a police officer, I know my Second Amendment right. I know my Fourth Amendment right. I don't need to necessarily punch you in the face because once I punch you in the face, you have a good reason to handcuff me and take me out of the game. So
is it.
the problem is that we have consistently equipped men with physical six pack, yet there's no psychological or academic six pack. Then you have someone who is a male, because being a male doesn't necessarily mean you're a man, who is a male, 50 years old, but caught up in a body that looks like that of a man, but still functioning within the mindset of a 5-year-old. Because
Yep.
understand this, the little baby, when they need something, Jean Piaget talk about those things. When the little baby needs something, they don't have the idea of waiting. I need to have the discipline to do this. I want it and I want it now.
Oh yeah.
But men must have their understanding that I want a Mercedes, then this is what I need to do to get that Mercedes. If somebody didn't die and leave me some money, I need to go and work and save $10 here, $10 there. I need to have the patience. That's a virtue of manhood.
My God, mental fitness.
So
But
good.
what we are creating in the microwave society, I want it now. We have the baby mentality. When the baby want that breast milk, you cry, you cry, you cry until that mom give you the breast milk. And if they don't give you that breast milk, Lord knows you're gonna raise hell. So that's what happens, my sisters.
My goodness. That was so good, Dr. JC.
We create in a society, we have a lot of males, but with few men.
Yes, this is so good. My goodness, this is like mind blowing. I'm over here just taking this all in.
right.
So to wrap this up, I like with everything Dr. J.
Oh, I was just getting started.
Let's go. Let's go.
Oh my God, we have to have a part two.
No. Now I have to read that book.
No, we have to read the book. We
have
really
to
do
read
have
the
to read that book.
book.
But to like, I think honestly, like I hear GV says this all the time when it comes to mental fitness, and I think Dr. JC just gave us a very nice summary of what this is.
He's a lot smarter than me, so you should listen
So
to him.
stop it.
No, but the thing
Say
is,
that.
I hear him say it all the time, and he's always explaining to me, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I'm listening to him. It's like that's
Now
literally
we get
everything
it.
that he's usually telling me now. Like,
Now,
wait,
don't be like the typical Haitian. In order for it to make sense, it has to be said by a white man. So don't
no, that's not what's going on here. Like I always
All right,
got
all
it. I always got it, but now I just wanted him to kind of elaborate on what that mental fitness is like, and now we can just wrap this up with.
I love this.
What is mental
So,
fitness
Doc.
and why you call it that?
So look, man, I'm glad you're here today because again, I feel I'll say it, man. I feel empowered to touch on certain subjects coming from just a regular person, if I want to put it that way, because really, I was a little boy developing habit. Really, that was really just I guess based on how competitive I was. I always wanted to win, and because I wanted to win, I always look for the advantage on everything that I do. And so at a very early age, I started practicing certain things and I started noticing certain things that I didn't really understand what I was doing until I got a little bit older and really understanding, how the mind worked. And so I was a little boy getting into a diet because I realized the cleaner I ate, the faster I ran. And I played soccer. I wanted to be faster than everybody else. And so I started really looking over my diet. Then I also realized whenever we had a test, right? If I go in and I'm playing with my friends and I have all of that going on, and the next day that I go and I take my test, I don't do as well. But then I'm like, okay, if I calm everything down and I control things, then I realized, okay, I perform a little bit better. Then I remember there was an event that my mom wanted me to go, and I'm like, I don't want to go. I have a headache. I lied to her. But then I'm like, well, we've got 5 hours until that event, and I don't have a headache yet. And I wish so hard to have a headache. And believe me or not, in a couple hours, I had a headache. And then, so I started, just thinking like, okay, there has to be power into like what it is that I'm doing, because I feel like I'm manipulating this thing here and I'm doing different things with it. And that was always my best kept secret, really. And so I'll go into rooms and people are telling me, like, man, you are so talented. And I'm like, yeah, but I know, like, no, before I walk in the room, I probably had thought of every question that I could be asked and had an answer ready. Just preparing myself again, and so from all of that stuff, really, to really get fast forward to now being, a full-blown adult. I And especially really coming from a state of what I do for work. That's the word that I came up with, not creating the word, but like with all of this conversation about wellness and mental health being so big out there right now, which I love. I feel like one thing that we are missing is mental fitness, because when you think about health, they like to define health as the absence of illness. But would you think that just because I don't have high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol, if I'm eating like 3 cheeseburgers every day and I weigh 500 pounds and I can't move, I'm always out of breath, would you define me as someone that's healthy? So clearly the health goes beyond the absence of illness, right? It's a state that constantly change, right? And so something I consume or something that happened to me may take me out of that state of being healthy. We agree with that, right? Right. And so if I didn't sleep enough today and tomorrow I go into work and I'm a little bit drowsy, I'm not at my best. So my state changes, right? I may be 80% there, but I'm not my full self, which is my healthy self. And so in the conversation of the brain or mental health, to me, where a lot of people are still not jumping on board is, well, I don't have anything wrong with me, so I don't need this. But what about the practicality of your everyday life of keeping yourself fit? So it's the same way. Just because I don't weigh 600 pounds doesn't mean I'm fit. Right? And so how do I just check a box? Do I become fit and I stay there? No, fitness is something that you work. It's a practice. Right? And so if fitness is a practice, then my mental fitness is something that I should be working on a daily basis. Wow. So I may not be mentally healed, but am I mentally fit? That's so then when you look at it in that avenue, you realize we all deal with things on a day-to-day basis. Right. And what we do about these things determine whether we are mentally fit or not. Right. And so then the level of fitness sometimes may be so low that we fall into illness.
That's true.
But just because we're not healed doesn't mean that everything is A-okay and we are good to go. And that, to me, like, that's the biggest thing, because like I'm a dental hygienist. Like my job is to prevent diseases from happening in the first place. And so what we do is really a lot of prevention. Because when you take care of the mouth, you realize by the time you have a disease in the mouth, your options are less and less more, how do I say that, effective. We have great dentists, we have great surgeons, but when you try to restore something that's already broken, it's never restored to its original state. And so the best way to keep something at its best value or its best state is really to maintain it and prevent diseases or whatnot. And so that's, to me, where I would love the conversation on mental health to shift to, the mental fitness, meaning nothing wrong with me, but again, doesn't mean that I'm necessarily fit. So can I I need to be doing certain things to make sure that I keep my fitness level. And there will be days that my fitness is a little bit lower, or there are days that my fitness is gonna be higher. So we probably need to open that conversation about the mental workouts, which what I love them.
I think that would attract men actually. I like because that goes back to the beginning
But
when you say we have to change the messaging so men can buy in
Yeah.
into going to therapy. I think Dr. Jesse we're gonna say something.
Yeah.
but here's something. I agree with you 100%. I call that the 1% of the population, because you know how we have the 99% from a financial perspective, and then the 1%. You cannot, if you consistently have to worry about paying your bills, you cannot start thinking about investment because your mind is so preoccupied with just day to day paying my rent. The same thing with the mental fitness and the mental illness. If I spend so much time trying to get mentally well, then now the mental fitness, I'm not even there yet.
Yep.
We have so many who are not mentally well, who are not ready to take the course of mental fitness. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep.
So it's more like it is designed that I know there's a guy who was working. I know we got to finish, and then he complained to his boss saying that, hey, what you paying me, I cannot save any money. The boss said, hey, I didn't pay you for you to be able to save. I'll pay you so you can pay your bills. We have to finish that level first.
Right.
Be able to pay our bills. Then we start thinking of saving. Then we start thinking of investment. So from a psychological perspective, we have to get mentally well first. Get mentally healed, I should say. And then when we heal, we can talk about now. Let's do the mental fitness.
Love it.
The analogy that you give with the physical as well. If I'm 600 pounds, I need to lose the weight first before I can maintain the new shape. So now I'm still at the level. How do I get up? And that's where we are collectively. How do I get up for one little walk so I can drop 1 pound every month or whatever the case might be? So that's where the work needs to be done as well.
Doc.
So you are part of the 1%, my friend.
And so it's funny. That's why I said you empowered me to really have that conversation, because my thing is I don't work in the mental health space, but I can only offer what I've seen working in dentistry, doc. And so it's the same thing. So a lot of people suffer from period diseases. We can cure that. We have to take care of them, but we also have to do a lot of prevention from the people that do not have any period diseases right now. So here's the thing. The funny thing is most people don't go to the doctor because they have period. Most people come to us because they want to whiten their teeth. Then we're like, oh no, we can't jump to whitening because we have a disease to treat. And so that's why I'm like, we understand what needs to happen, but the messaging
Is there
because a lot of the people that are being treated for period diseases didn't come in, hey, I have a disease in my arm and I would like to get treated. No, they came in for something sexier than that. Then for me to break down the news that, hey, we've got a lot of things we need to work on. And so right now, like whitening your teeth is the least of your worry right now. And so it's the same thing. You're right. We have most of us really out there with some level of trauma or whatnot that needs to need to address it, but you're not gonna get people coming like, hey, I'm
That's
broken,
why
I
the
need
work
to
is
be
plenty.
fixed. It's a lot,
Plenty, my friend.
and so
Yes.
changing the messaging into like, hey, can we get some mental workout? You probably get more people interested, and then from there, like, hey, before we can get to that point, we have so much work to get through. And honestly, a lot of it is a lifetime of work.
It is, yeah. It is.
A low barrier entry to therapy.
Ooh, that's it.
What was the? I'm sorry, I did.
A
get-
low barrier entry to therapy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
Yes.
goodness, this conversation, man,
It can keep going.
it can keep going, but
I'll
we-
pass the mic.
That's beautiful. You know what? Like, but the nice thing about this is really just seeing the similarities between treating the brain and treating teeth. I mean,
It's the
it looks, yeah,
This is very
yeah.
Exactly.
Yes,
Everything in life.
wow. This is very like
There's
ironic.
no new things. Life, if you look at life, you will see that it's only one person that creates the whole thing. Because
Yeah.
there's so many similarities
Uh-huh.
in
Replication.
everything that we do. If you study the Bible in a lot of different books, psychology, religion, Constitution of the United States, and all those things, you realize all those things came from one person.
Yeah, exactly. And then our mind is very connected to our entire physical body. So it's like, why not take care of that first, and take it as make it a priority. Man, this I don't know what to say now. I'm just like, we already impact so much, and I'm so grateful that GV, you were able to be here, babe. I'm so happy that you were able to.
Thanks
be in
for
this
having me.
conversation. Dr. JC, for agreeing last minute to be on here with us. Just to wrap this up, just one word that comes to mind when it comes to mental fitness, or I would say manhood, wellness. Just one word, everybody. One word.
education.
Practicality, discipline, discipline, practicality.
Mine is openness, just being open to
Yeah.
receiving that education and to receive, discipline, to receive practicality. So yeah,
I'm
being
gonna
open.
send this episode to so many people.
Yeah, I'm myself gonna send it to so many people.
Yes, yes, yes. And we invite you to do the same thing. If this was useful and you feel like it was empowering, sometimes it's hard to have the mental health conversation with the men in our community.
Oh, yes.
I am inviting you today to just get this episode and send it to somebody, whoever it is. And thank you, Dr. JC, for making the time for us. Thank you, GV.
Where
for
they can
making
find
the
you
time
guys.
for us. Yes.
Plug your sources,
Yeah.
all of your things. Plug them in.
Let's get
I don't-
connected here.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to plug. Let's see.
I can tell you I got enough work, but Belizaire.com is the best place to see what we are doing. We're also on the local radio in Jacksonville. So if you are in the city, just capture our station on Saturdays 4 to 6. I encourage everyone to take care of yourself.
Yes,
Do
sir.
you mind your business? At the end of the day, everything is not for everybody, but something is for somebody.
There you go. I love that.
I love that.
I own in Primark Media, and so that's usually where I do most of my work. GV Pluvials, if you wanna look up, my Instagram and whatnot. Yeah, but I'm not really active on social media, as you guys know. But but definitely one of my goal for 2024 is through Primark to make sure we can get Dr. Jesse's messages out there
Yes.
a lot further.
Seriously.
I'm taking on that myself, dog.
Production. Yes, yes. A dynamic
But thank you for having me, guys. Like I said, I'm a
Thank
big
you.
fan of what you guys do here.
Thank
So
you so much, babe. Thank you for giving us. I'm privileged with all of this. I'm so privileged.
Yes. And everybody mind your wellness because
It's your business.
it's your business. All right.
We'll talk later. Bye.
Everybody.